All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, I am going to be a little bit more demonstrative than usual because Terence Crawford's camp member, Steve So Cold or Too Cold Nelson, talked about the Errol Spence Jr. rematch and said one of the most amazing things that I have heard in a while. Man, what terrible analysis is the only thing that I can say. And I don't care what y'all think. The few of y'all that actually don't know what I'm saying is 100% correct. Let's talk about how Terence Crawford camp thinks that Errol Spence Jr.'s fight, the rematch, won't be enough money for Terence Crawford. So maybe they can get Tszyu. You can't make this stuff up, man. You can't. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division, and I don't care if you want me to talk about it or not. To the people that watch every video and complain about every video, thank you so much for watching. You're really not going to like this one. For the people, the vast majority of people that like the videos, that like to talk about the subject matter and like an honest opinion, look, this one ain't going to be pretty either, because Terence Crawford's team said something in an interview, which I read in Boxing News 24, that was astounding. Now, you may not believe this, but sometimes I try to avoid listening to certain conversations because I don't want to have them, because I know that they're going to come off sometimes a little bit more than a little bit negative. A lot of times I really do just try to call it down the middle. I call it like I see it, but when I see it away, I'm going to tell you how I see it. I'm not going to say, well, I don't see it this way, I don't see it that way. Oh, it could be this way, it could be that way. No, I'm telling you, this is what I think. Now, this may be what this person is thinking. This may be what this person is thinking. But here at the end of the day, man, I got to draw a conclusion. There you go. So in this case, here we go. Now, before I get into the details of it, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you are a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. It means so very much to the channel, especially to the people that support in the super thanks of videos, because that's how the business is able to continue to go, how the live streams and how the videos are able to come up. So thank you guys very, very much. And at the very least, man, hit the like button. Also, thank you to everybody that just watches the video, because that goes a long way too. So thank you. But let's get into this. So Steve Nelson is talking about the rematch between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford that will be coming up. As far as we know, no reason to believe that it's not going to come up. And he gave some information, some inside information into the thinking of Terence Crawford. And obviously the big one that came out a few days ago was that Errol Spence Jr., obviously he wants to fight at 154, but Steve Nelson saying, no, not going to fight you 147, or Terence Crawford. Steve Nelson said, Terence Crawford said, we're not going to fight you at 147. We want to fight you at 154 because we think the fight's a waste of time. So I said, okay, first of that, we had a big bunch of conversations about that. And why do we have conversations about it? Because they said it. Nobody asked them to say it. So it is what it is. It becomes boxing conversation. And this time, though, I read a little bit more in Boxing News 24. Shout out to Boxing News 24. Been around a very, very long time. Very good at what they do, getting the information out, and at the same time sharing their opinion. You can agree with their opinion or not agree with their opinion, but hey, man, they're consistent, and I value them as a source to get information. They quote Steve Nelson is talking about the Errol Spence Jr. fight not being a viable fight because it won't sell. And then when asked about the other options that they have, they talk about obviously Canelo Alvarez. And I don't understand why they're talking about Canelo Alvarez, because Canelo Alvarez said clear as day they're not fighting him. There's nothing in it for me. So whatever with that one. And then talks about Jermell Charlo, right? Now, Jermell Charlo, if he loses to Canelo Alvarez, will coming off of a loss. And but then Steve Nelson moves forward. And the thing that really stood out to me was this. He said, well, if we don't fight Errol and Jermell's not available immediately, because he won't be, we can fight Tim Tszyu, right? He's the WBO super champ. You can fight Tim Tszyu. Let me ask you a question, man. If you say at this point in time, it's not about legacy, it's not about all that, that's set, because that's what Steve Nelson says, then what difference does a belt at the WBO belt at 147 pounds with Tim Tszyu do for you? But even if you say it does something for you, watch this. Errol Spence Jr. is a way bigger fight financially, if what you're saying is you're going for the money, than Tim Tszyu is. There's no reason, no objective reason whatsoever to believe that Tim Tszyu versus Terence Crawford is anywhere near as big as an Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford rematch. There's just no reason to believe it. Now, the fact that Steve Nelson says that he doesn't think it'll sell, first of all, I don't know where that comes from, because the third Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight sold perfectly well, right? Nobody was complaining about amount of money or the pay-per-views done from Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury 3. Did they? No, they didn't. Just because the guy won doesn't mean people are not going to watch the rematch to see if it won't happen again, especially when the guy that you're fighting has a lot of fans. But Tim Tszyu, to think that Tim Tszyu is the money? How? Tim Tszyu is not a draw in the United States at all. He's from Australia. So you're going to go over to Australia to fight Tim Tszyu in Australia, and you think that is going to make anywhere near the same money as Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford again in Vegas? The gate for Vegas alone will be worth more money than that fight will draw in pay-per-views in Australia. And here's a litmus test for your business acumen, your boxing business acumen. If you think otherwise, you're clueless. No chance is that a bigger fight. And then watch this. It doesn't even help you get to Undisputed any faster, because say Terence Crawford fights Errol Spence, and Terence Crawford is still the Undisputed champion, and then Jermell Charlo comes in, and you fight, and say you fight Tim Tszyu, right? You fight Tim Tszyu's the belt, the champion. Now you beat Tim Tszyu. You don't become the man. You're not a mandatory for Jermell Charlo. You don't become a mandatory for Jermell Charlo by beating Tim Tszyu. You don't, because Jermell Charlo got 3 other belts with 3 other mandatories that will all be in line. Okay, because he didn't do the WBO mandatory, but now there is no WBO mandatory. So, and even if you were to wait for Jermell Charlo to fight Tim Tszyu, which coming off of a loss against Canelo, if that's the case, could possibly take place, then you'd be in position then to become the immediate mandatory for him. But anyway it goes, Jermell Charlo already said that he's not coming down to 154 pounds to fight Terence Crawford. He already said it. If he's going to fight Terence Crawford, if he does, and he doesn't really even sound that interested in doing that, it'll be at 160, because you better believe he's going to bring up Canelo Alvarez as high as he can for that fight. So unless Terence, first of all, the simple idea that there's no money in the Errol Spence Jr. fight, but there's money in a Tim Tszyu fight? Come on, man. Now, people want to say that people that critique and say things that you may not like about Terence Crawford are haters. But if you use your brain for a second, you have to know that what they said there in that particular circumstance is ridiculous. Errol Spence Jr. The simple fact, if you thought that it wasn't enough money and Tszyu was going to be more money, then do this. Fight Errol Spence Jr. Fight Errol Spence Jr. in Dallas. Right then, you're gonna wind up getting an $8 million gate, $5 to $8 million gate, which is going to be more than you'll ever get in Australia because they don't pay those ticket prices like that. And Tszyu is not some gigantic star over there. You just be taking a chance. It's ridiculous, man. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.